Klay Thompson is a 4-time NBA champion, one of the greatest shooters of all time, and one of the most beloved players in NBA history. But many do not know about the insane athletic lineage of his family. His father is the Bahamian American Michael Thompson Sr., who, in the 1978 NBA draft, became the first foreign-born number 1 overall pick in league history by the Portland Trail Blazers. He would go on to become a 2-time champion and fan favorite of the LA Lakers, playing 12 seasons in the league in total. Klay's mother, Julie, was a standout college volleyball player at the University of Portland and University of San Francisco. Also, she was a state champion in track and field and volleyball in high school. The couple also have 2 other sons who happen to have followed in their parents' footsteps. Klay's older brother, Michael Jr., who had a 6-year basketball career in the G League, and his younger brother, Trace, who has been an outfielder in the MLB and has been a pro for 7 seasons. For Klay, his parents have had a huge impact on his athletic career, though both he and his brothers have said they never felt pressure to do as they did in the world of sports. Thompson credits his father, in particular, who's currently a broadcaster for the Lakers, for being his biggest believer when it comes to making the NBA. Michael Sr. sat down with the Run It Back crew to discuss exactly when that level of belief began. Plus, the patriarch honestly answers who he feels is the most talented athlete in his family, and which teams he thought would draft Klay in 2011, and what the GMs of these teams, who Mr. Thompson had contact with thanks to his 30 years in the league, shockingly told him about his son.
I love this. Look, we mentioned the fact you're a 2-time champ and you've been doing these Lakers games. Shout out to John Ireland for me. But what's crazy is that a lot of folks know you as Klay and Trace's dad, which I always find hilarious. So professional family, athletes across the board. Who's the best one?
The best athlete?
Yeah.
You know, my boys argue about this all the time about who's the best athlete in our family. And it comes down to their mother. Their mother's the best athlete. Michelle, she was in high school, she was a pentathlete. You guys know what that is? No, a heptathlete. Yeah. You know what that is, right?
Yep.
The heptathlete, the ladies who run 8 different events. So she was a hurdler, long jumper. Then in college, she was a volleyball player. She could dunk a tennis ball at 5'9". And her age, I won't tell you what her age is, but she can still do handstands and backflips at her age right now.
Wow. Maybe she is the best
Michelle
athlete.
Just won. We changed the question next time.
And here we are thinking Klay's awesome for being able to shoot while she's
doing everything. By the way, was there a moment, do you remember the moment when Klay and you're out there and there's a basketball involved and all of a sudden you're like, oh, no, he's got it?
Michelle, that's a great question. I remember the exact moment. My wife looked at me like I was crazy, and you guys will probably think I'm crazy too. You guys will think I'm the next LeVar Ball or Earl Woods saying this. But I distinctly remember, and I always thought all my boys would be an athlete, but in Klay specifically, he was at a basketball game around 9, 10 years old. And he was a point guard. He was running everything. He was knocking down threes from NBA range at that age. And I was filming it on the old camcorders. You guys remember the old Sony camcorders. And my wife was sitting next to me in this little sort of small JV high school gym. And I told her, I said, that boy's going to be in the league someday. And could be a Hall of Famer. She looked at me like I was crazy. She told me, I remember what she said, I just wanted to be a good boy and a good student. I don't care about that stuff.
And here we are. Here we are. By the way, was there one-on-one in y'all's day? Did that happen? And did he take you at some point?
Oh, yeah, I definitely played one-on-one against all my sons. And with Klay and Michael, the basketball players specifically, by the time they turned 14, I couldn't beat them anymore. Because that time, they were starting to get a little strong, a little bigger. I just couldn't back them down and just score in the post. I'm Kareem Abdul-Jabbar or something. So I actually had to guard them when I missed. And by the time they were 14, I couldn't stay with them anymore.
Michael, I got to tell you, I was in Klay's same draft class, and I was actually in his workout in Golden State. And I remember I had such a good workout. And my buddies text me, who was in the workout? And I was like, as good as I played, I promise you, they're going to draft this dude, Klay Thompson, because he bust my ass. He couldn't miss. It was the best work I've ever seen in my life. And then they go and draft him. So I just want to tell you that this dude was so cold in his workout. And man, I knew right away that they were taking him.
That's amazing, Chandler, because you know how those workouts go. So everybody's observing it, and everybody has an opinion on different players. And every time Klay would go to all these workouts, the top 10 teams in the draft would bring him in, including Charlotte, Sacramento, New York, and Minnesota. They all worked out Klay. They all liked him. But Wayne Cooper at the time was the assistant GM at Sacramento. He begged them to draft Klay over Jimmy Fredette, but the owners overruled him. And they picked Jimmy Fredette.
Oh, no.
Charlotte, I worked out in front of Michael Jordan in Charlotte. They had 2 picks in the top 10. And I said, how'd you do? He said, oh, man, I played great. Michael Jordan really liked me. I said, well, maybe you'll play for Jordan. But, of course, they took Kemba Walker and Bismack Biyombo over him. So, I was the good friends with the GM at the Minnesota at the time, David Kahn. We were tennis buddies. We were tennis partners playing up in Portland because he worked for the Portland paper up there. So we played tennis all the time. And I remember talking to David. I said, David, you got the 2nd pick in the draft. You got Ricky Rubio. You got Kevin Love. Klay and Kevin grew up together in Lake Oswego. They played Little League Baseball together. They played basketball together and youth sports. I say, draft Klay, man, because him and Kevin are best friends. Kevin used to hang out at our house all the time on the weekends. So they know each other. And you Ricky Rubio, you need a shooting guard to go along with Kevin Love and Ricky Rubio. It'd be a perfect fit. You know what David Kahn told me at the time?
Oh, no.
He's not a first-round pick.
Oh, wow. Well, he was wrong, and it looks like everything worked out anyway. So, yeah.
Outside of the 3 teams Mr. Thompson just mentioned, the Washington Wizards were also in the mix to draft Klay, as they had the 6th pick in the 2011 NBA draft. For better or worse, depending on how you look at it, the 6th pick is the lowest pick Washington would have from 2010 to 2014, as they failed to crack 30 wins in any of those seasons and was in desperate need for young, exciting talent. The Wiz would do well with their 2010 and 2012 first-round picks, selecting John Wall and Bradley Beal respectively. So it makes you think, what would have happened if the Wiz had selected Klay Thompson, which they easily could have done with that 2011 pick? With Beal and Wall, Washington had moderate success in the weaker Eastern Conference, making the playoffs in several seasons where both all-star level players were healthy. So with Klay, could that unique trio have had championship success like Thompson found in Golden State? Here's John Wall on the OGs podcast, imagining a world where he was kicking the rock to either Bradley Beal or Klay Thompson.
When did Bradley Beal come? What year?
Go Gators.
20, yes, sir. 2012, I think. 2012,
So 2 years.
2 years.
That's when, I'm telling you, you guys to me were unbelievable out in the playoffs, and it was fun to watch you guys. Talk about that with Bradley Beal.
It was a blessing,
You
man.
gotta talk about the Gators.
Yeah, for sure. He was a special talent, bro. He even played with Kenny Boyden that was in my draft class. Kenny Boyden. I played against him.
Kenny Boyden. Okay, he's South Florida kid.
American Heritage. Ray Taylor. I played against them and Brandon Knight at Team Breakdown. So I got a lot of
Another South
history. But just getting him, I knew how special he was. I watched Brad a lot of AAU. One thing, I'm a basketball junkie. I got a big TV and I split it. If you got direct TV, you go quad switcher. Split that bitch in 4 and you watching all games at one time.
Yes, sir. Yes,
That's
sir.
all I'm doing. So if you catch me on a Sunday or right after this later, I'm doing that. But just to get Brad was amazing because when he first came in, he was just a knockdown catch and shoot guy, not really put the ball on the floor as much. And he just kept developing, getting better and better. And he stays in the gym, a big gym rat. And then when I got injured, he took his game to another level. Learned how to play, make more, became really that superstar type of guy. And it was great to play with a guy like that. I was hoping I got another opportunity to get another run at it, but I ended up getting traded. But the way he was, the way he developed in his career, the space he's at now, I just hope he can stay healthy because he's a great piece and can help Phoenix get to whatever they're trying to accomplish. But he's a special talent.
So you, Bradley Beal, and you touched on something before we came on here that I think needs to be said because you were in the workout when Klay Thompson came in. Mm-hmm. And you said something, because could you imagine your speed with those two dudes? And you said that you're telling them to take Klay? Not calling anybody out.
I think we should have took Klay. For sure took Klay. He a sharp shooter, knowing he could shoot the ball like that.
You say this, how many shots in that workout?
Probably 1 or 2 shots, man. He was fired, bro. So I knew Klay was special, could shoot it. And we would have got him the year before that. That was 2011.
That would have been a problem.
What?
So because Klay was a great defender that time too. You know what I mean? So he was a great defender. So he probably would have played the 3-4, added 2. And then you have me, Nene, and Gortat. I mean, it would have been amazing with the pick and roll we had.
Gortat. I remember that.
Yeah, Gortat.
Boy had the Jordan tattoo on his leg.
Yes, he did.
Look again.
He made pick and roll
MJ.
easy for me though, because a lot he learned from Steve Nash and Ben in Phoenix. He brought to me and taught me that, so he helped my point guard game go to another level.
Could you imagine those two shooters though?
Oh man, I would have been
spacing,
passes.
crazy.
Not too many. You can't build a wall.
You get to the elbows if you want to. This going up. I'm happy they ain't
Who'd they take instead?
Jan Vesley. They was calling him the baby Blake Griffin from overseas.
Hold on, what is he?
You expected me to know who? I didn't know. I didn't know who that was. I ain't trying to be disrespectful, but you looking at me. Why you looking at me?
No, they called it like they was comparing him to the Blake Griffin from overseas.
Man.
Athletic and run the floor. He was a freak athlete, but
hey, listen, man. This is my question. I get it. There is talent overseas, but how you miss us sitting right here? That's the thing for me. I get it. There is talent overseas. They play amazing technical basketball. I'd have missed Klay Thompson right next door. That's just that.
They be having their reasons. I ain't say they was good, OG, but I just say they got their reasons.
Because we gonna move on. Man, I don't be getting it. I don't know.
By the end of Klay's 3rd season, he was a solid 3-and-D player for the Warriors, but he hadn't quite reached all-star status yet in his career. The Minnesota Timberwolves would make a trade offer to the Dubs for Thompson, which at the time seemed extremely fair. The Wolves would send double-double machine, an emerging superstar, Kevin Love, and Kevin Martin, who had never made an all-star team just like Thompson, but was a consistent 20-plus point per game scorer and lethal three-point shooter to that point in his career. So, many thought he could replace Klay with no problem from a statistical standpoint. Many, except for one crucial NBA icon who at the time threatened to leave his executive board member's seat for the Golden State Warriors if the trade went through. The logo, Jerry West. West put his reputation and his job on the line to ensure that Curry and Thompson would stay together. And eventually, the Splash Brothers would make the logo look like the basketball genius we all knew him to be, winning 4 rings in the next 8 years and becoming arguably the greatest backcourt of all time. Here's the late great West from an interview in June of 2014, where you can tell how much he values a young Thompson and has the amazing foresight to know that Klay is right on the cusp of reaching his potential.
Fun to watch. His backcourt mate, Klay Thompson, another guy who has grown. You're smiling already just bringing his name up. How has he grown as a 2-guard?
Well, Klay relied so much on his outside shooting, in which he's very proficient at. And I thought when he wasn't shooting well, it affected his total game, because you could see him fighting himself and shaking his head. But toward the end of the season, he did something that a lot of people didn't think he could do. He expanded his game. He got to the point he could run in the post. He could use his size advantage. And more importantly, his ability to start to get to the hoop a lot of times is a real plus, because getting to the free throw line is key for any team in this league. And if you can't get to the free throw line all the time, and you're just hoping to beat teams by outscoring them from shooting the ball, which we're capable of, getting to the free throw line, it's a pretty easy 2 points for players of his caliber. And secondly, you're not always running back defensively. Your teams are walking at you instead of running at you. But we've got one of the best backcourts in the league. I've got size. His defensive play is really underrated, and that's where he's come along. And because of his ability to play people at 3 positions, it tells you how valuable he is. He can guard small forwards. He can, a lot of times, if they have a great point guard, you see him playing a great point guard, and obviously he can play 2 guards. I think he would be so much better if he could just cover 2 guards all the time defensively. But he's come a long way, and he's fun to watch. Another fantastic kid. He and Curry fit great together. Should be a backcourt for a long time.
Over the next 2 seasons after this interview from the logo, the Golden State Warriors went on a rampage of the entire NBA, going a combined 140-24 in the regular seasons, and then making both NBA Finals, splitting the rings up for grabs with the Cavs. In those two NBA playoffs, their toughest challenge out of their own conference was in the 2016 West Finals against the Oklahoma City Thunder, facing their MVP caliber duo of Russell Westbrook and Kevin Durant. The Dubs were down 3-1 in this series, which many forget about because of their own 3-1 collapse in the finals. So when they extended the series to 6 games and sent it back to OKC, many felt the Thunder were about to wrap it up and pull off the upset. But unfortunately for the Thunder, that's when Game 6 Klay was born. In an absolute classic featuring huge scoring numbers from stars on both teams, Thompson became the first player ever to hit more than 10 threes in a playoff game, draining an incredible 11 on the Thunder, on his way to 41 huge points and snatching all the series momentum OKC thought they had. Here's Steven Adams on that insane Klay performance, and how even long after the series conclusion, you can still see how emotionally scarred he is from what Thompson did that night.
Those first 2 or 3 weeks of the offseason every year are so hard.
They're horrendous, bro. I don't know about you, bro. I'm really angry. Really angry. I'll just flip out at anything. Just want to break stuff. Just really mad. Even though if I carry on working out. If I'm just practicing the game. I have to. Otherwise, I just lose my mind, bro. Absolutely go nuts.
I've found that the years where I felt like my team has a chance to win, those off seasons I'm even angrier. When you guys, 2016, what do you remember about that series against Golden State when you guys were up 3-1? Is there something that sticks out about that series?
Klay Thompson's game.
Was that game 6? That was game 6.
That was crazy. That was just nuts, bro. That was insane. The bro, Andre Roberson, bro, the brother was just legit fouling him. And he was just cashing out. Everything just couldn't miss, bro. It was just amazing. And how they played. But take away from that series, bro, after losing the joint, it was like, man, we were so close. Let's run it back. We all know how that one went, mate. You know what I mean? But that was probably the biggest takeaway, was just that we came so close to just moving on to the finals and just beating this team. Really good team as well. And just didn't happen, bro. Just couldn't bloody push past it. And there was a lot of drama as well in the whole series and whatnot. It was awesome. It's definitely one for the archives, mate.
I'm sorry, I feel like I brought up a very horrible experience for you.
No, it's an awesome one. It really is. It's awesome.
To open the 2016-17 season, the Warriors infamously upgraded their 73-win team by acquiring Kevin Durant, one of the greatest scorers of all time and a first-ballot Hall of Famer. The Dubs knew each member of the rotation would be sacrificing gaudy stats for championship gold. And with Steph being the former MVP and the greatest shooter ever, many thought Klay would be sacrificing the most, moving from second to third option. Remarkably, however, if you look at Klay's season in 2016 and 2017 next to each other, they're practically identical. And that's thanks in large part to his efficiency. And there's no greater example of that than his highest scoring game ever, which he happened to have on December 5th, 2016, right in the middle of that second season. Against the Indiana Pacers, Thompson became just the 23rd player ever to have 60 points in a game. But there are two more impressive aspects to the game than the 60 itself. Klay became the only player ever to drop 60 in less than 30 minutes of action. And he needed just 11 dribbles to get the job done, meaning his shooting form had to be dialed in because he was catching the ball and launching it up just as fast. Jeff Teague was on the floor that night for the Pacers and got the best view in the arena for Thompson's scintillating 60, which, as you'll hear, is a fact he still can't believe all these years later.
I remember one time we played Klay Thompson.
One time.
At Gold State. When I was on the Pacers the 1 year I was on there. And he gave us 60 points.
Oh, that was
11. That nigga did dribble the ball but 11 times. Hey,
Damn,
it was
bro,
so
I didn't know
bad.
you was on that team.
I was on there getting cooked. Hey, I didn't guard him. That wasn't me this time. Nope, y'all can look it up. Wasn't me.
Switching on the
It was-
screen?
nope, I wasn't doing none of that. I was guarding Steph.
You catch none of them buckets?
You won't see me on one of them highlights.
Luis.
I won't be on one of them highlights.
He said, I wouldn't have it off Steph.
My matchup was Steph Curry.
You couldn't help.
No help responsibility, bro.
Hey, that's crazy. When somebody got 60 and you still can't help.
Monte, PG. Yep, calling them niggas out. It was them two. It wasn't me. I think Glenn Robinson got a little bit of that too. I ain't had nothing to do with that. I think Stuckey might got a little bit. It wasn't
Shout out to Roddy Stuckey.
Yeah, it wasn't me at all. I was watching the film. Look, he was doing us so bad. I remember PG. PG didn't start on him. I give him that. PG was like, I fucking got him, dude. You know how niggas get, I got him. 25 this quarter. I was like, damn.
That third quarter was so
Man,
vicious.
what? I'm like, man, this nigga here is crazy. That was one of the greatest moments I ever been a part of in basketball. But I couldn't believe this nigga hit every shot. And then when they told us he didn't dribble but 11 times.
I saw that.
A nigga giving me 60 is crazy. The circumstances are different. I gotta get out of
sure.
the game, bro. I have to foul something. I have to get out of this. You crashing out, Mook? Bro, I have to foul, bro.
Just
That
work on your
third quarter he
defense,
had
bro.
was crazy.
Defensive
Can't just
slides,
get torched,
bro.
bro.
Defensive slides.
I was laughing.
Somebody start hitting that, there's nothing you can do. That third quarter was crazy.
I'm on there getting, they threw a lob. I don't even know how they got this. He was doing so much highlights. After the game, they showed my highlight. I'm chasing down Steph. He throw it behind the KD. KD get the lob. How the fuck this get on ESPN? This nigga just had 60 and didn't dribble. How the fuck am I on here? But it is what it is.
Damn, I'm out of pocket, bro. I sure thought you missed a year with that.
Nah,
that
I was there, bro. We went to, what's so funny, we was only down 15 or something at half, and we was like, we right there. And somebody was like, look at Klay. Aaron Brooks was like, look at Klay Thompson. On the stat sheet, he whispered to me, like, look at Klay Thompson. I was like, damn, the nigga went missing. I was like, damn, he got 30. That shit was funny.
He didn't play the fourth either, did he?
They subbed him out early. I was like,
E-League
he probably could have had 80.
Started looking at the stats because that's when I was always being, I gotta get 17 and 8. Let's get this 17 before I get out.
He's a raggedy ass.
He was down 30. Yeah. Down 30 contract year. Let me get that 17 real quick.
That's funny.
I can't believe I was in that game. Boy, it's a clip somebody sent me the other day. I seen it on Instagram. He sent it to me, my homeboy from Atlanta. And it was a clip I had scored a layup on JaVale McGee. And he was like, Teague, dude was like, Teague is crafty. They cut the lead down to 33. It was funny
Big
as
shot for
hell.
Teague, cuts the lead down to 30.
Yeah, he was like, damn, they just cut the lead down to 33. Bro, I was crying. He said they was
funny
whooping
as fuck,
ass,
bro.
boy. I said, you didn't have a chance with them two dudes shooting.
Bro.
Klay Thompson was at his apex as a player from 2014-15 to 2018-19, when he was an all-star in each of those 5 seasons, and as a part of the legendary Splash Brothers with Stephen Curry, made all 5 NBA Finals during that stretch, and was so close to never missing a single NBA playoff game. Unfortunately, however, in Game 6 of the 2019 NBA Finals, Klay suffered a devastating torn ACL, where defiant Thompson tried doing jumping jacks on his hurt knee in an attempt to convince Warriors doctors to let him finish the game. Little did Klay or anyone else know that this would be his last game for nearly 2.5 years. As he was well on his road to recovery from his left ACL tear, and after missing the entirety of the 2020 NBA season, Klay managed to suffer an even more serious injury, a fully torn Achilles tendon, this time in his right leg. Thanks to the timing, this forced Thompson out of action for yet another full season and a half, crushing fans everywhere and crushing Klay's own mental confidence. These 2 injuries back-to-back would obviously alter the now 31-year-old's game, especially defensively, as the former all-defensive team selection couldn't slide his feet as quickly as he used to. But, as they say, the last thing to go is the jump shot. and Klay was still able to put up 19 points and 3.5 made threes per game in the 2022 NBA playoffs, making it back to the finals for a 6th time, and finally securing his 4th Larry O'Brien trophy, completing a comeback many thought would be impossible. Here's Klay himself immediately after the series-clinching win at TD Garden in Boston, discussing the long journey it took to get to that stage and his raw emotions in the moment of winning another championship after everything he had been through.
Shane Young, Forbes Sports. I know you're a man of reflection these days. As you reflect on where you were just last year or the year before, even in 2019, what emotions come to mind after this moment?
A lot of mixed ones, to be honest. 2019, it was easier to accept because I'd never been hurt before, and that 5-year run took a lot out of us. But the second time it happened, it was like, what the heck is going on, man? And just to stay with it, just a calf raise after underwater treadmill, so many days, not even touching a ball. And then to go through this season with the ups and downs and even these playoffs, I'm just at a loss for words at times because I just knew this was possible, but to be here in real time, man, I don't want to leave. I just want to enjoy every second of this. I know how fleeting it can be.
We'll go to Tanya here on the left.
I was just going to ask you about not wanting to leave the stage. What was that? You were up there with Steph, dancing, just enjoying that moment.
Do a lot of dancing this summer. Dancing machine.
What was that like up there? What were you feeling when you were?
Oh, man. I was feeling absolutely incredible. I was feeling just so high on life that I did not want to leave the stage. And I just know how hard this is. And to be here for a 4th time, I'm so grateful for my teammates. I saw it in the beginning of the season. People call me crazy. I said championship or bust because I saw how we came out the gate, 18-2, and playing just that Warriors brand of basketball that made us so successful. And then knowing I was going to be inserted in that, I knew we had a chance to do something special, and here we are. This is so incredible.
We'll go next to Daniel in the middle.
Daniel Bell, BSO. Steph said that this one hits different than the other 3, given everything you guys have been through and everything that was said about you guys. Do you feel that same thing?
A lot of chatter, a lot of doubters. But you know what? You just put that in your fuel tank and you just keep going. And it does definitely hit different. The guys we integrated here, we could not be here without them. Whether it was Wiggs, who's around the corner, I don't know, he's chilling somewhere. There he is. That man made my life so easy. I used to have to do his job, and I'm looking at him like, that is exhausting, bro. You got to get buckets and guard the best player? That's crazy. Jordan Poole, his development, the guys we picked up at free agency like Otto and Belly. How about Kevon Looney? The man had a 22 rebound game. Just all around, all down the board. And this was beyond the guys who got big minutes in the playoffs. Guys like Juan Toscano and Damian Lee, who were ready when they were called upon and won us big games in the regular season. So this was a collective effort, and strength in numbers is alive and well. I can't wait. There was this one player on the Grizzlies who tweeted strength in numbers after they beat us in the regular season, and it pissed me off so much. I can't wait to retweet that thing. Freaking bum. I had to watch that. I'm just like, this freaking clown. Okay, sorry. That memory just popped up. You're gonna mock us? You ain't ever been there before, bro. We been there. We know what it takes. So to be here again, hold that.
Do a last couple for Klay. Mark Spears back right.
Twitter fingers. Can you believe it? I got a memory like an elephant. I don't forget. And there was a lot of people kicking us when we were down.
Where did we eat breakfast when I interviewed you for the first time?
What's that? Oh, man, I forgot. But it was right by Broadway. I forgot the name, but I remember it was downtown Oakland. And I don't think you could guess I'll be here for a 4th time, Mark. You'd probably be like, heck no. What? So be here again? This is incredible.
The Bahamian flag.
Yep.
Talk about your Bahamian pride and bringing the flag out.
Well, it's been a part of my story since I was a child. My father was the first foreign-born #1 pick, even before Wiggs. Can you believe that? Before Air Canada, there was Air Bahamas. So I know my family is in Nassau watching, and we had a tough year losing our Uncle Colin, who is such a big part of our family. He was the oldest brother of my dad's side, and he was a legend on the island. And I just love the Bahamas with all my heart. I love visiting my grandparents, my cousins when I was a kid, and I can't wait to go back and celebrate with all my family this summer. I just think about them all the time, and we've, not only myself, but our family's faced adversity the last few years, losing my Uncle Paul and my Uncle Colin and my Aunt Patty. It was just, and with life, things go on, so I just keep them in my heart when I go out there and hoop.
Last one, Sam in the middle.
Klay, you said memory like an elephant, and tonight you got the Celtics crowd that has been giving it to everybody, Draymond more than anybody, the whole series. And I'm sure you enjoyed when Steph is third quarter saying, put a ring on my finger. You just talk about not only the environment, but last week, both of you guys said there were 2015 vibes, and you closed that series out in Cleveland. Just what was that?
I just knew it. We've been here before, and it was the same. It was like deja vu, same feelings. We feel like we couldn't get any good flow, just like back in 2015, the Cavs had our number, and we just stuck with it. We grinded out a tough Game 4, and now to be here, Steph was incredible tonight. I'm so happy for him to get that Finals MVP. Some freaking bozo saying he needed it. I think he's pretty much established what he can do. But to see him earn that, he's one of the greatest ever. And we all follow in his lead. And gosh, that was awesome. What a series.
Thanks, Klay.
After this impressive 2022 championship run, the Dubs would get eliminated the following season by the Lakers in 6 games in the conference semifinals. But in 2024, time seemed to catch up with Klay somewhat, and Steve Kerr went as far as to bench the legendary sharpshooter towards the end of the season. Golden State finished 10th in 2024, just scratching their way into the play-in tournament, only to get embarrassed by their division rival, the Sacramento Kings, 118-94. Changes needed to be made, and if the Warriors were going to give 35-year-old Steph Curry a real shot at a 5th ring, they felt they needed to build a new team around him. But at the same time, Klay Thompson was due for a new contract, and the fans of the Warriors wanted him to be paid and spend out the rest of his playing days in Northern California. Unfortunately for Klay, the Warriors organization wanted to free up the money they'd use on him to change the roster around and attempt to rebuild the team with multiple fresh faces, like Buddy Hield and eventually Jimmy Butler. Having said that, for the players, coaches, and fans who loved this man for his heart and his personality on and off the floor, this wasn't exactly another transaction and then move on situation. Klay had ingrained himself within the community over the decade plus he spent playing with the Warriors. And Klay himself, who ended up strategically signing with the team that had just won the West, the Dallas Mavericks, wanted to show the Warriors they made a mistake, and he could be successful without being a part of the Splash Brothers. Here's Draymond Green on an interaction he would have with Klay and Dallas point guard Kyrie Irving that would indicate a certain level of passive aggression from Thompson, as if to say, we're cool, but when it's time, I'm coming for you.
I hate to do it, but I gotta ask, because you didn't tell me last time. We gotta talk about Klay Thompson.
I'm tired of talking about Klay. Forget Klay.
You ain't talk to me. You put me on ice last time. He was like, man, I don't want to talk about it. It's early.
I was hurt. My feelings was hurt.
All right, dog. I'm gonna let it slide.
My feelings ain't hurt no more. I'm over it now, and I'm sick of talking about Klay. Klay walked up to me and he said, Trav was in the gym first. I had left because I had to go to Pilates. Klay was coming in the gym after his Trav song. He walked up. Trav, I think, was talking to Kai, talking to somebody. Klay walked up. Oh, you talking to the ops? I'm be talking to the ops. So Trav told me later that day. And I said, wow. And Trav was like, is he serious? And I was like, well, he ain't serious. That's just how Klay talk. And that's just that's his sense of humor. Yeah. But there is some seriousness to it for sure. So then the next day I'm working out, Klay coming in after, and now I'm talking to Kai. And sure enough, Klay walks up, he says the same thing. Come on, Kai, you can't be talking to the ops. And when he said that, I told Trav, I said, and now I'm gonna run through his chest. because there's some seriousness to that. Yeah. I know Klay. I know how Klay think. I've been playing with this on the same team with this brother for 12 years. I know how he think. There's a lot of seriousness
for sure
to that statement.
Well, but you got to think, one, he got to stake his claim. You know what I mean? He got to stake his claim with the Mavericks, and he got to go tell the Mavericks, look, me and Draymond gonna be on this. You know what I mean? They don't like me no more. He needs for y'all not to like him in order for him to be successful. You know what I mean? When y'all match up, he needs y'all not to like him. He don't need you know what I mean? Y'all the ops.
My hope for Klay is this. My hope for Klay, and my hope for him is that I hope and pray that he go to Dallas and play great. And the reason I hope he go to Dallas and play great is because that will allow him to appreciate what he's done here. Right now, if I'm totally honest with you, I think it's a stain on it. I feel like it's a stain on it for him. Yeah. And so many times people don't get to, and Klay hasn't said it's a stain on it, by the way. It's just a little how I feel in my gut. So many times people in the NBA don't have a place to call home. And to know, and again, regardless of how he may feel, he getting a statue here, his jersey going up, he's a legend, this is home forever, all of that. But you just want him to feel how he's supposed to feel leaving from a place that you built. And I hope that for him. And I feel like, because I just know who Klay Thompson is as a person, I feel like if he go to Dallas and play great, that then he could be like,
he take that,
all right, that's cool. Yeah. I'm cool now. You know what I'm saying? He's just so competitive, man. And so I just want that for him, bro. I want that for him.
I was thinking the same thing. I was like, it's almost good for him to have a new beginning because y'all built this Warrior thing, right? And at a certain point, y'all DNA is stuck in it. You know what I mean? And so with his injuries and coming back, he wasn't playing good or playing. It's just when time started catching up and these young dudes start getting better, you know what I mean? There comes a compass. You know what I mean? You reach that compass and you got to say, as a vet, you like, well, shit, bro, I'm still who I am. You know what I mean? But I think he probably put more pressure on himself, you know what I mean, to try and be whatever it needed to be for him to feel like, I told you I can do it. So I like him in Dallas, and I want to see him successful in Dallas too, because similar to what you said, he going to be able to put the Warriors in his own legacy box.
For sure.
And he going to be able to share a lot of that shit with his new teammates, you know what I mean? Because now he free, you know what I mean?
100%.
Like, it wasn't no beef. It was just time to move on, you know what I mean? Because that chapter of your life, you can say, you know what I mean? You can own that and say, I built, you know what I mean? I built that. I was a part of building that. And so it's still a little ickiness just because of just how I'm still good. I'm still better than what you think. And so I can't wait to see y'all play, bro. I can't wait to see y'all play against each other. Ooh, I'm gonna have to come to that game. And it's already beef with the Warriors in Dallas anyway. So
for sure,
we might as well just keep that little situation cracking.
So it's kind of crazy that Klay kind of went and joined the ops.
For real.
So, what did happen when Klay Thompson returned to Chase Center as the ops? Well, for starters, leading up to the game, nearly every fan felt the same way Baron Davis did in that last clip, as this was one of the most eagerly anticipated regular season games of the last decade. And just like Draymond Green said, Klay would receive a hero's welcome upon his return, with tributes like being greeted by roughly 400 cheering Warriors employees who lined up along his path to the away locker room. Plus, all fans in attendance got a custom Captain Klay hat in honor of the four-time NBA champion who frequently navigated the waters of the San Francisco Bay and commuted to Chase Center by boat for work. The Warriors, who had already announced they'd be retiring Klay's number upon retirement, showed a tribute video and had a special introduction that had the audience and Klay in tears. It was a special moment in NBA history, but the game they played after all that pomp and circumstance might have been even more special. Klay would have a solid game in his return, hitting 6 threes on his way to 22 points. Kyrie would also score 20-plus points, and Luka Doncic would get his usual 31 points to go along with 8 rebounds and 6 assists. But, as Klay had seen countless times in the past, Steph Curry was the X factor, dropping 37 points, stuffing the stat sheet, and hitting the game-winning shot, which led to this animated rant from a visually emotional Steph. Here's Draymond Green once again with the inside scoop that he shared with Baron Davis, that in fact, there indeed was a direct reason for Steph's emotional outburst and performance that night. And that reason was Klay Thompson.
The Warriors gave everybody in attendance a captain's hat for Klay's return. I think that was a great tribute video, which he well deserved. But y'all got the dub, right? Steph got hot in the fourth. I know you and Klay. Man, let's kick that off. What was that?
Man, Steph was on 10 the whole time. And you knew it right away when they tried to post him up. Very first play, and he fouled Klay. And that's one of the ones where he knew it right away that it was a bad foul. He didn't care. He didn't think anything of it. He was so overzealous to get the stop. So that play, it's a little, you know what I'm saying? It's a little testy. The very next play, they try to run the same play again. And my man's in the corner. So I try to bump him out to Najee Marshall. Yo, bump, I'm here. So I can switch and guard the post. He totally ignored me. So I run all the way over there to bump him out.
He didn't get the script.
I have to run all the way back to the other side of the paint to guard my man because he won't bump out. And sure enough, he get the next couple stops. And he dialed in, man. And I knew he'd be dialed in. I'm going to keep it G with you. I watched Klay's interview leading up to it, all of them. I read all the quotes. I watched any interview I could find. And I watched Steph interviews leading up to it. Now, mind you, when they asked me the other day at OKC, I totally ignored the question. We got an NBA Cup game. And that's what Thursday is about. Not Thursday. That's whatever day of the week it was. It's Tuesday. It's the NBA season. It's Groundhog Day.
The next game.
Absolutely. And so I'm like, that's what it is. And I completely ignored the question. And then I saw Steph's answer, and I saw Klay's answer, and then I saw Steph's answer, and it was a little sentimental. And I'm like, all right. And then I see Steph speak on somewhere different, and it was a little more sentimental. And I go look at Klay's stuff, and I'm like, all right. So finally, yesterday morning, I text Steph, and I text him, hey, listen here, big dog. I need you to be locked in. Whatever it is that you do, whatever it is that you need to do, if that's watch this tribute video, before we actually see it go up on the board, whatever it is that you need to do to make sure that your emotions are where they need to be. So we dialed in. I said, I'm going to do the same. And so I hit double R, Raymond Ritter, and I said, Ray, I need to see that tribute video. And Ray sent it to me. And I watched the tribute video, and I was like, ah. So I got it out. And Steph got it out. So by the time Steph come in the game last night, he pissed. I didn't call. As soon as I texted him, he called me right away. So I done tried to stir the pot a little bit, baby. I'm stirring the pot. Ain't no, my splash brother. Nah, I'm stirring the pot.
We the ops.
Hey, so I pissed Steph off. He like, yeah. I talked to Klay last night about, he was like, because Steph was supposed to speak before the game. He like, I called Raymond and told him I'm not speaking. I just need to lock in on the game, so I ain't speaking. And I talked to Klay about it. Tried to check in with Klay on something else, and Klay ghosted him. So he got pissed. And here we go. Here we go.
That's why he was on 10. That's why at the end of the game, hey, bro, that end of the game, that was almost like the Olympic shot. You feel me?
Man,
he was on, even after the game, after y'all shook hands, it was like, what was that feeling like? Because there's so much emotions, bro. That play is legacy brother, almighty, you know what I mean? Absolutely. Hall of Famer. And that, y'all connection, you know what I mean? That's the first time we've been able to see the not connection. You know what I mean?
You know what's crazy? Steph said to me right away, he was like, yo, we had Andre, when he left and he came back. And KD's never really materialized. There was so many years in between him playing, actually coming back and play here from when he left, that it was never really that. He was like, but we ain't had nothing like this. You're right. You know what I'm saying? So that moment, bro, it was such an incredible feeling because we've done special things together, and Klay included. There's none of this without Klay. It's crazy because I was talking to Trav last night, and Trav was like, yo, you and Steph was locked in so crazy. He was like, but it's nuts because Klay was locked in too. He said, when I saw how all three of y'all were able to lock in on that game.
That's how y'all know how y'all won that championship.
He said it makes so much sense. He said these people had to deal with three of y'all like that. He said it makes so much sense when I watch how all three of y'all was locked in.
It's levels to it.
Absolutely. And saying that, so knowing that and understanding that, the night couldn't have gone better and it couldn't have been a better feeling for us. It's us two still holding it down. You know, still holding the fort down. You know what I'm saying? And to know, and he ain't with us no more. That felt good. And so, like I said, the night could not have gone any better. When you talk about NBA script writers, as the people say on Twitter and Instagram.
No, that was perfect setup.
That script, Klay Thompson played great. Incredible. And they lost. That's how we needed the night to go. And so when Steph had those moments, though, when he locked into the moment and he get to talking his shit.
He gonna start, boop. He gonna start, because Steph came out talking shit. Then Klay hit him with the shimmy. Then Klay caught fire. And then you see Steph over there, he hot. You know what I mean? And then and back to the intensity, Klay's intensity up Dallas level. I don't even think the Mavericks seen something like that. You know what I mean? And so watching how you and Steph were on this side, Moody got off. You know what I mean? Moody was balling. Buddy was balling. Everybody.
Melt was balling.
Melt was balling. Looney played big. You feel what I'm saying?
Offensive rebounds in 14 minutes is crazy.
Come on, dude.